out of, and he's going to deal with the movie too. The movie came out of this book. So with that, Brother Phil Valentine. Peace. Right. Give him a black hand.
Give thanks, give thanks. Now, anybody who has been hip to the Matrix knows that it's not an easy book to assimilate. The thing about the Matrix is you got to have prerequisite information and experience with metaphysical principles. You can't just delve into it. What he touched upon, that last one, the equividium, is way out. You got to be seriously into deep mathematics, metaphysics, combination of information that comes from inspiration, perspiration, and all forms of focus that you are not accustomed to. This is trying to deal with the Matrix is running the marathon, and you know you're 350 pounds and you ain't run a step in your life. It's very, very short attention span, because the kinds of constricted and very focused kind of information is written in such a way as to, I guess, it's based upon the author Valerian already knowing that you know what he's talking about. You see what I'm saying? You can't just go into it. So I'm just going to carve out a piece so that you could, at least when you get into reading the Matrix from one kind of get your eyes and your brain ready for the type of absorption factor that you need to have in order to get into reading the Matrix or understanding what the Matrix is all about. Now, the Matrix is simply a compilation or condensation of all of what metaphysics, the metaphysics that your ancestors and ancestors from other planets have known for a long time. This is just a reawakening for the European paradigm. We are trying to assimilate information from a second-hand source that has a whole other way of processing consciousness than we did. He's a very wordy kind of creature. He needs a lot of words to get one example of what's going on. We weren't very wordy people. We essentially knew, based upon the condensation of language as pictographs, the condensation of languages as one word having 30 to 50 different meanings, and the inflection and the consciousness tone of the voice and the specific conversation would tell you what that meaning was. There was an economy of words, though there was a vast array of these words. There was an economy of words. All of the way that it was diagrammed or broken down for you was done by the Europeans' interpretation of what was, as well as the Europeans' interpretation after he came into Chem and began to just, I guess, pervert what Chem really was. Now, usually I give the topics of the day and try to bring you up to speed with the news. So, you know, a lot of what we were speaking about, and, you know, brothers and sisters who've been into the gathering of the masters know that we are at, especially governmentally and the way they're going to be controlling us, we are at a very, very crucial nexus at this point. I want to go back to what is going to be news within the next few months when they start digging up all the dirt on your president, Slick Willie. And we said this about a year and a half to 2 years ago when we spoke about Slick Willie dealing with being impeached. He was impeached, and a lot of people who were there thought we were playing games. He was impeached. They didn't get him out, but we did say he was going to be impeached. The timeline for what's getting ready to happen on his watch and what's getting ready to happen with China and how they're building China into the new dragon of the East so that they can take Russia's place to get the Westerners all panicked up at spending more money taking on more security measures, like giving up more of your freedoms, so that you now feel safe with Gestapo walking down the street, tanks, and the whole 9 yards. So, for the mundane, we're going to be talking about Slick Willie taking money from the Chinese. He took money from the Chinese, which essentially is tantamount to treason. No foreign power is supposed to be having their thumbs in your political process to influence political process so that they get you into the presidency so you can do a foreign sovereign country favors based upon that. That is treason. This is what's going to get the president in the biggest trouble. Not the coke sniffing, not the drinking, not the pill popping, not the adultery, not the trysts in the Oval Office, not the serial killing, all right, but treason. And they're going to want to clean it up in such a way so that the American people either is disenfranchised with the presidency so that he's the last one, or essentially that the presidency now is taken over by David Rockefeller, and they put in a Rockefeller who will then become the president by proxy or just by default. He wouldn't be elected. Now, there are two main culprits in the influence peddling around Clinton, and it's a man called John Huang and Charlie Tree, T-R-I-E. Tree had a Chinese restaurant in Little Rock, Arkansas that Clinton loved to eat at, and when he became the president, he had a pass to get to see the president at any time. Tree showed Bill, now this is the one hand washing the other. Tree showed Bill a pipeline to unlimited Asian capital to finance all of his dreams and schemes. Now, Tree and Huang became the Washington heads of the Thai Indo gang, who are some of the best financial influence peddlers in Washington, D.C., or the District of Criminals. And they funded the famous Lippo shipping group to the tune, now this is Lippo Shipping Group, which is like the Chinese mafia. $12 billion was funded through them. And they're here in the United States. Huang is one of Red China's primary arms suppliers. Where are we going with this? Huang is one of Red China's primary arm suppliers. He buys the arms for China. Everybody know where I'm going? Yeah. All right. This man was given carte blanche. Huang was given a Q-16 top secret clearance into the arsenals of the United States military by Clinton after the donation through Gore and the rest of those people calling out the White House soliciting funds. The late Ron Brown was one of the people who was part of that when he was at the Department of Commerce. Okay? Huang had his pick of the candy store. He could buy anything he wanted from the U.S. military arsenal. Missiles, super advanced guidance systems, biochemical weapons, even the essential technology for the stealth bomber and the stealth fighter. He was sold it. He took it, went in there, gave it to him. Ain't nobody, no Chinese was spying for the last 10 years. That's the way they're trying to cover their tracks. This all amounts to espionage of the highest order, but the espionage was not done by the Chinese. It was done in complicity. It was done in complicity with the Chinese government. Later, Huang had a coffee with the president to tell him how he was planning and what he wanted to do and what he wanted to buy in his shopping spree. There are over 500 witnesses involved in the sale. 500 witnesses involved in the sale of top secret technology to the Chinese, and they're peddling influence to buy the American presidency. Gore is also in this scandal up to his eyeballs. Clinton will step down. This is one of the scenarios. Scenario 1, Clinton will step down to avoid a second impeachment vote on him of no confidence. Now, this is a scenario. Gore would take over, And he appoints J. Rockefeller, J. Rockefeller from West Virginia to be his vice president. Gore is also eventually, and we have it that he may be also under indictment because they still haven't closed the indictment in the investigation on Gore. And now Gore, remember, is part of the Illuminati. Were you there at the Gathering of the Masters when we showed you that Gore was supposed to be cloned from the blood type, the blood genotype of the Romanovs from out of Russia? And he was in the chronology of the beast was supposed to be born in a graveyard. Now, where was Gore born? It's in Virginia. Arlington. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a thing just on him. All right? And show you that he was born not of a father-parent situation, but he was one of those people that was born in a test tube, cloning and putting together, grafting certain genes from out of the Romanovs. All right? He looked like them. He looks like one of the Romanovs, as a matter of fact. And you see him, some of the things with the beasts, and they say that the beast, when he would be a baby, he would have a bull as a pet. And Gore's pet, when he was a boy, was a bull. I mean, the whole thing is deep. The whole thing around Gore, you're sleeping Gore. I mean, boring as hell. But everybody's sleeping Gore. All right. Both Clinton and Gore are taken out at the same time, and Speaker of the House could have become president. They could put him in temporarily. At least 5 more women will come out of the closet on Clinton in the next few months, more than that. But none of them will be able to have any effect. The Chinese connection is what is going to bring him down. There's a little blackmail also going on between Gore and Clinton, with Clinton as the blackmailee. Remember, Clinton threatened to have him killed during the first term. Remember, Clinton had threatened him when Clinton got drunk, was coked up, and Gore got on his nerves. And at an open meeting, he said, "You could disappear." The Washington Post said the tip of the Monica Lewinsky, the tip for Monica Lewinsky actually came out of Gore's office. He was the one who dropped the dime on Slick Willie. Clinton's trip to China will be a disaster, but the media will eat it up. And this is, remember, we were saying this was told to you like 12, 13 months ago. Well, I'm just bringing you up to date. By August, all of the following on Clinton will have come to light. The Clinton crimes include 2 counts of drug trafficking, 4 counts of bribery, racketeering, and extortion, 3 counts of tax evasion, kickbacks, and embezzlement, 12 counts of fraud, 2 counts of fraudulent loans and illegal gifts, 5 counts of illegal campaign contributions, 6 counts of money laundering, and yet unknown is how many for perjuring and obstruction of justice. Now, all of this is included with your girl Hillary. We haven't even counted the hundreds killed by this octopus that actually backs him up. When President Fisk actually started finding evidence, well, Richard Fisk actually started finding evidence that linked the Foster murder to Clinton, he was yanked off the case. And Starr was brought in to repair the damage and finish the cover-up. Starr was one of Clinton's boys. Starr was one of Clinton's boys. It was Fisk that was doing the most damage, and you notice they took Fisk out of the picture. Don't be fooled. Ken Starr is actually a Clinton stooge. He is also a representative of the Chinese Lipo group. Now check this out. Your boy, Ken Starr, was a representative of the Chinese Lipo group. He is a consultant to the Chinese Lipo group. So you know what no justice is going to be done. All of it was flim and flam. Starr was picked from a short list to head the investigation. By who? Your man and mine. Janet Reno. Notice now. The report was, and with all the information that Starr got on the dirt that Clinton was doing, he only focused on Monica Lewinsky. All right? Clinton will get away. I mean, we already knew that Clinton get away. We were just predicting it. And there is a second and third special report that's going on right now, a special prosecution going on around the Chinese connection. All right? Where am I? I gave you Clinton's family history. Y'all never got that? All right. All right, now Clinton is a descendant of Rockefeller. We told you that. It's not known for sure, but Bill Clinton's real father, all right, we don't know who he was, but Virginia Kelly, Clinton's mother, had a voracious sexual appetite, we are told. Her first husband, William Blythe, was killed overseas just after World War II ended while Kelly was pregnant with Bill. Some say she was a convenient arrangement with a local county doctor to whom she was friendly, and that they picked the dead man at random and forged various records in order to get military and government assistance. So Clinton was a welfare baby. Kelly was seeing a number of men when she became pregnant with Bill. This makes William Jefferson Clinton the first bastard to ever hold office in the presidency. Kelly, his mother, was also said to be illegitimate, and birth documents obtained by Sean David Morton shows that she was in fact one of the illegitimate children of Winthrop Rockefeller, a former governor of Arkansas who had an entire string of quote-unquote bastard children all across the country from Vermont to New Mexico. Most of these children have been kept carefully hidden but off track by the Rockefeller family and now hold major positions in politics and banking. The dream of the Rockefellers was for years to have a Rockefeller as the President of the United States. They came closest with Nelson Rockefeller, but hit pay dirt with Bill Clinton, grandson of Winthrop Rockefeller. This would explain his unlimited campaign finance and why he was handpicked for the presidency by great-uncle David Rockefeller himself. Though Clinton's blood father is not known, insiders say that the man that was keeping the most steady time with Virginia at the time, and who bragged privately that Bill was the chip off the old block, is four-term corrupt county sheriff Bud Canada. Canada later ran for the Arkansas State Senate, where he remains a senator to this day. Bill Clinton's real name is William Jefferson Blythe, but he later changed it to Clinton after Virginia's third violent and alcoholic husband. Virginia was married 6 times until her death in 1993. Mama definitely was about getting it right. Now, you got a breakdown of that little piece of news. So when you're looking around for what this whole nonsense on the television is around the Chinese connection, don't believe the hype. The Chinese connection is one of the friendliest connections they've had overseas. All right, you got to remember too that the Chinese won the Vietnam War, and that the payout for that is opening up your arsenals. And you remember, every time a country loses a war, it becomes fascist. Look at Germany after World War I. This country is now fascist as well, and it will become more and more fascist.
What about Governor Bush? How can this get up?
Well, Bush is from Prescott Bush's great-grandson, and he's Nazi. So if Prescott Bush gets in, they probably just change all the stars to little swastikas. Because, seriously, the Bush now got the CIA named after him. The George Bush building. The CIA building now is called George W. Bush building. You talk about bought, lock, stock, and barrel. Serious skull and bones. Now, everybody came to hear what we had to say about Matrix and mind control. Check? Anybody see the movie? I know y'all all saw it, right? Oh, we're going to get deep into it. Now, I know all of y'all, since you all are graduates of the gathering, y'all don't go sit in front of the movies just to be entertained, do you? Y'all take notes at the movies? Because I know who've been my student. I see them in the movies with a clipboard. Now, if y'all ain't going into the movies with clipboards or with tapes so that you could be making notes to yourself, then you are being entrained. You're being entrained to feel good about what's going on the screen. You are one of Big Brother's best kept secrets. Now, I'm going to tell you how they're settling up with technology. There's two different types of mind control. And we're going to deal with the first type of mind control for part one before we break. The first kind of mind control will then let you know what's happening with the second kind of mind control. The first kind of mind control gets real deep. This is why your metaphysical antennas got to be up at full tilt while I'm talking. Now, all of y'all here, how many of y'all into metaphysics, the deep kind of metaphysics? Show a hand. All right, not too many of y'all into that deep metaphysics. Now, metaphysics is going to have to be the quote-unquote religion of tomorrow. If it isn't, you're fucked. Totally and absolutely. If you don't understand metaphysical principles, forget going to school, forget going to work. Well, go to work. Just be blissful, and when time comes when to throw the dirt on you, then, you know, just cash in. But if you are about evolving, it is time you open up that metaphysical grave that had been dug for you, the part of you, the spark that lays buried. That is what's going to open you up. That's what's going to give you the ability to escape your metaphysical mind. Damn all of what it is they're showing you out here, this is the illusion. If you saw Matrix, it had told you it's the illusion. But you didn't have to go to see Matrix because we've been telling you that for 25 years. And I know the elders have been telling you that longer than that from inside. Okay? Two types of mind control. Stay with me. Some of y'all are not going to be able to stay with me. Some of y'all are going to have to sleep. It's all right. I'm going to speak to that other side, the part that is awake. Two types of mind control. The first, and again, what I wrote down here came from inspiration. In the nighttime, when people are sleeping, I stare out at the sky, the window, and this is what you're going to have to do to pick up. Let that melatonin and melanin start to secrete, and then start picking up that information. The first kind of mind control can be viewed as consciousness containment and manipulation through biological, psychological, etheric, and spiritual colonization and terraforming. Now, what do I mean by that? What am I meaning by that? Consciousness containment and manipulation through biological, psychological, etheric, and spiritual colonization is based upon the terraforming of the blood crystals, of the blood matrix, of the flow of life and light that is now inside of you. Everybody is getting hip to how they're electronically playing with your brain. And by nature alone, your awareness of it creates specific types of light codes that help you to recognize it subconsciously and bypass the programming. It isn't working just to shove a chip in your head anymore. Because the awareness factor, people outgrow it. Just like you give somebody a cigarette for the first time and they start choking and coughing. The same principle when they put that chip inside of your head. Your body tends to become accommodating of it, and if your consciousness level is strong enough, you bypass the circuitry. They're finding out more and more that mental manipulation, biological manipulation isn't working at the level they are currently practicing. So how have they gone? This is what we're going to get into. The second form of mind control is technological interfacing of gadgets with bioelectrical neuronal sites in the brain and the nervous system. Let me check that again for you. Technological interfacing with gadgets or of gadgets with bioelectric neuronal sites in the brain and throughout the nervous system. That's the technical part. That's the one we'll get into after we go to the break. Now, the topics for mind control include displacement of consciousness, the filter of experience, electronic dissolution and disturbance and rearrangement of your memory. That includes your archetypal memory. That includes you not being able to interface with the information that your ancestors left in the blood genes. And how they're going to do that. Another form is condensed knowledge, so that you work within specific parameters and nothing else. 4 or 5, reality and culture is a language construct. Reality and culture is a language construct. 6, now check, and very carefully. Eating is a form of information transference. Let me repeat that to you. Eating is a form of information transference. Now, I'm going to let that sit in and digest a little bit. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about and why it is that they got to get to your food. And why you got to be doubly and triply careful of what it is you put into your mouth as sustenance. 7, the lockdown in third-dimensional space equals time reality through genetic reconstruction. Let me repeat that. The lockdown in third-dimensional space is equal to time reality through genetic reconstruction. In other words, your genes are being manipulated to maintain the ceiling of your awareness so that you will have no light code transmissions filtering through the specific filter of experience that they're going to give you. So your experience is going to be given to you so that your experience now amounts to being you building your own imprisonment. 8, synthetic telepathy. That's part of the technological and how they're going to play synthetic telepathy on you. People are now who have the chips in their head have been experiencing synthetic telepathy. That was the brother that we brought to Gary Bird and to the City Sun that time, Brian Wrong, when we exposed the fact that the chips were being put into people's heads all through the prison system. Who was there when we did that? You were there at the time. We exposed that. People thought we were crazy, but the Sun, that's why they shut the Sun down, people, because the Sun was dropping some serious science about what was going on the metaphysical tip and what they were doing, the government's control. Mind control is frequency warfare. Let me say that again. Mind control is frequency warfare. They ain't got to shoot no more bullets. They don't have to strap you down like they did Dr. Frankenstein and stick a node up your nose and up your ass and all up your back and in your ears and shoot electrical volts through it anymore. They can deal with frequency through the television, through your radio, and when I was speaking about synthetic telepathy, through your bones. Through your bones. Now, in the electronic dissolution of consciousness, there are some extraterrestrial interferences and incursion around that. Now, some people say, well, damn, here you go. He talking about little gray and green men running around, sticking us and prodding us here and there. Let's get it straight. Your ancestors were dealing with other neighborhoods long before our experience with the Caucasoid. It's all over our writings. It's all over our experience. We are extremely matter of fact about this. We are only getting hyped and excited about this. Why? Because he's getting hyped and excited about it. He's only now coming into the realization that there's nobody. See, he's been going around the globe conquering and killing everybody, thinking that he don't have no more strangers in here he calls his neighborhood. So there ain't nothing else for him to fear. Fear of a black planet. But now he's beginning to see that there is a wider neighborhood and a vaster amount of neighbors And that scares the shit out of him. So what does he do? He punks up and cuts a deal. This is how he has been able to make these leaps and bounds in technology. You got to remember that there is an entity which we're going to get more deeply into. There is what we call the fallen lords. At least I call them the fallen lords. You can call them the Elohim, you can call them the fallen angels, and all the different names that they have for them. These are the fallen lords of light. And they do not like, you are nothing more than vegetables to be grown and processed, much like you saw it here. They took a piece of that for this movie. But it's much deeper than that. It's much more significant than this movie. They tried to give you a little bit more science fiction than science fact, but there's more science fact if you know where to look for it. Now, frequency warfare, or the electronic dissolution of memory and consciousness, was developed by the CIA immediately after Kennedy was assassinated. It was a project to create electronically controlled robot killers that were programmed to kill on demand. EDOM, or the Edomites. EDOM means electronic distillation of memory. They change your memory around, who you are, and take away your identity so that the identity you have belongs to them, and you kill on demand based upon what they want you to do. Edom eliminates the memory of the individual or alters the memory of events that the individual was involved in. By electronically jamming the brain, the existing acetylcholine, and that's the part of the brain, that's the part of the essence that the brain secretes for your memory, the existing acetylcholine creates static which blocks both sight and sound. This method can be used to either block or erase the memory, or to slow it down so that events seem to happen after they actually occurred. So you have a delay of focusing in, and the chemistry that puts the picture of the experience into your memory bank is delayed. So in other words, you take a picture, they have made the solution, the picture is your experience. They've made a solution, or they've done something so that the solution that keeps that develops the negative, so to speak, they've delayed it so that the negative now takes so long to become part of your memory that you recognize that it ain't be like a month or a year from now that you think it just happened yesterday. So they have the ability to slow down the ability for you to even make a memory or even recall a memory. This is how deep they've gotten. Excuse me? Well, yeah, it's more of a kind of a condensed form of time manipulation, because it's not really time manipulation, it's time manipulation perception. Little difference, yeah. Now, biological radio effects, this is again part of the technological, which is going to lead you into the biospiritual form of mind control. The use of very low frequency and ultrasonic affecting both electrical behavior within the brain and actual brain tissue. They have technological devices that they now have circling the planet that can affect the electrical pulses in your brain as well as the tissue of the brain in such a way to force behavioral modification and changes. There is the capability now to bounce pulses of 7 to 12 hertz off the 8 hertz ionosphere. Now, the ionospheric envelope that we are in, they can bounce these particular 7 to 12 hertz waves off of it, and within 3 pulses entrain crazy and bizarre forms of energies into your brain, which in turn now enlists crazy and bizarre behavior. So they could seed war or peace. They could seed fights, riots, and so forth, based upon manipulation through very low frequency, or what is known as VLFs, and ultrasonic frequencies. All right? Now we're going to just speak about how they are going to get into dealing with mind control on a more subtle and a lot more insidious level, because everybody's hip to what they're going to see. You're going to knock on your head and find a chip. It ain't going to be like that anymore. You're going to be the chip. You're going to be the one that is your own mind control based upon what they do to the biology in your body. Now listen very carefully. The blood is the river of life. It is also the river of light. Be very clear. It is not only the circulation of nutrients, but also the circulation of consciousness. Blood is the circulation of physiological consciousness, biospiritual consciousness. It is within the blood that you find all of the components necessary to coalesce, bring together, to bring you to higher levels of awareness. If your blood stinks, if it's filthy, if it is depraved, if it is full of garbage, you cannot enlist, or you cannot filter higher light waves through such a bloodstream and then have it convert to intelligence. It is impossible. If the blood is polluted, there is no way for you to convert higher fields of light codes into higher fields of light intelligence. It isn't going to work. Spirit feels its essence in matter. Spirit has no feelings. There is no feelings. Feelings puts matter in touch with spirit. So spirit needs matter to know what spirit is, to know what it is. So there ain't nobody floating around there and knowing everything, and I know what you feel like. Trying to call on some ghost or some entity that never took on a physical form, forget it. They don't give a shit about you. There is no empathy. They need to have physiological experience in order for them to set up an empathic bridge between the physical and the spiritual, so that you can now, that's where your ancestors come in. That empathic bridge is based upon them having been in corporeal life. Once you're in corporeal life, the spirit has been changed. It has been quickened in such a way that it yearns to get back in there. That's where you put all kind of experiences on the soul, which is essentially the bridge between the spirit and the physical. So spirit feels its essence in matter. Matter, listen carefully, children. Matter is an envelope that seals the spirit at specific levels of awareness. Matter is an envelope that seals the spirit in to the flesh at specific levels of awareness. How light manipulates the envelope determines how the envelope is refined in order to expand it to allow the spirit to feel itself at higher and ever higher levels of awareness and consciousness. Check. Did you get what I just said? Follow me and stay with me, because it's going to get deeper. Once you get this perception in, your cells are now jumping around saying, oh man, more. Feed, feed. Oh, this is like ice cream. Feed me. Because when you start getting into the knowledge or the meal that is the self, you become insatiable. And then all of this physical bullshit don't mean nothing, because you no longer have what? The appetite for it. Check? All right. How light manipulates the envelope, and I'm talking about sunlight, not this light. How light manipulates the envelope determines how the envelope is refined in order to expand that envelope to allow the spirit to feel itself. Remember I said its words, to feel itself at higher and ever higher levels of awareness and consciousness. To control the evolutionary advancement of the flesh, the spiritual advancement of man as well, one must seal and maintain the present envelope at its present level of self-awareness. Now, did you follow me when I said that? Because here's what is necessary to keep you in check. I'm going to repeat it now. To control the evolutionary advancement, that is the spiritual advancement and the spiritual awareness of man, one must seal and maintain the present envelope structure, which means the present perceptual matrix, the present, that's a window, this is a mic, this is a desk kind of scenario. But these are not what I just said. These are agreements based upon our agreement to perceive them as such. Remember, I said that matter is a biphenomenal effect. And the only way matter becomes hard is through the agency of man's focus on that thing. Matter has two components. Matter has two personalities, a wave and a particle. But when man, or when the human brain is not looking at the wave, at matter, at its highest level, it is a waveform. But when human mind, when human thought, when human perception focuses in on that wave, it becomes a particle. So it means that the human consciousness is necessary, or is an integral part in how matter coalesces into what we call reality. Are you all with me now? Because I'm getting ready to take off, and if you can't stand the heights, just lay down and go to sleep a little bit. And I'm saying these things because when you understand how deep this is, when you understand the level that the beast is playing on, you now are at the field. You cross from him. Football, definitely, 1-to-1. And you the quarterback, you the front line, you the running back, you the pass receiver. You're everything. You're taking over the game now because you know how it's being played on you. So they must control the envelope at its present level of self-awareness. Now, how do they structure that awareness? Through your education system, through your television, through your entertainment, through church, definitely through church. They got you in light code lockdown, boy. They really got you believing that some white man came down, laid on a cross, and saved your asses. I was hearing them coming. Man, everywhere in Carolina I went, there was a church on every goddamn corner. On Sunday when I was down there on the lecture, they were driving me there. Wasn't not a near a black man or woman on the street. Everybody was in church getting their dose. Everybody was plugging in consciousness intravenously to the words of the preacher man. Sucking it in, just like you saw in the Matrix. They had my boy plugged in everywhere, feeding on him, feeding on his light. Now, in order to maintain the envelope of your awareness, in order to make you believe that this is who you are and this is all you are going to be, they have to dysfunction the blood. They have to dysfunction the blood because it is the blood that is the crystal that takes the light and refracts it. Takes it and specializes it, much like a prism does. When you look at white light, you take a prism and you put that prism, which is a crystal, up to that white light, boom, you get 7 different colors. Or the perception of 7 different wave bands. That's how consciousness works. It works to diffract what is inherent within the light into what you now see as those 7 colors. Those 7 colors become your awareness. Check? Yeah. All right, now, stay with me. The light, your blood crystals refract the white light into what you see as consciousness. Now, a little preliminary information. The sun is your Pez dispenser. It dispenses the codes of consciousness in vectors of light. It is the sacrificial sun. What you see as the corona is the crown of thorns. You are essentially taking in light at specific frequencies and valences, refracting them through the temple, which is the crystallization of light. You are crystal light. And I don't mean that damn crystal stuff you just straight up there and drinking. I'm talking about you are crystallized light. And you are diffracting concentrated light into the reality based upon the structure and design of the temple of God. How your blood is constituted says what level of light you can process. Ooh, I see the lights are going on in some of the brothers and sisters. I better get to my blood. Well, that's why they want your blood. That's why you see all these vampire movies coming out. He needs your blood. He needs to find out what's in your blood that's going to keep you around and him not.
That's why they want the DNA sample.
There you go. Oh, we're going to get to DNA. Oh, Miss DNA. Now, there are principles of energy. Listen carefully. Principles of energy, formed energy, powerful principles of energy. Principles of consciousness awareness that exist to create harmony for themselves through havoc to you. Check?
Check.
It's the order of things. You can't blame them for it. Just like a leopard goes and hunts and kills the lamb, it's the order of things. You have higher evolutionary beings who you believe are supposed to be so sweet and loving and because now I know light. Hey, these motherfuckers know how to get shit done now on a whole other level. They've learned to manipulate light. They've learned to condense it and change it and use it and take it and do what they want to do with it. But by that very act alone, they have created their own ceiling. Because once you start pimping off somebody, once you start using somebody, once you start working off of somebody like these preachers do, like religion does, like government does, once you start pimping people, you have to keep them at that level so that they can remain your food source. So you have higher levels, higher beings that are of the lower order that have to maintain that order through making you their vegetable garden. So your whole consciousness envelope, your whole consciousness environment is being terraformed by these higher light beings who are actually on the lower strata once you get to know them. They look all fly. I mean, you know, they look barren. Somebody see a star walking down the street. You see Wesley Snipes. Go Wesley. Go Wesley. You say, oh shit, Wesley Snipes, baby. Woo! What's happening? You all up in there, stars in your eyes and shit. That's the same way we would look at them. But they ain't no different than you. They just got up to the tower by doing all kind of shit, making you believe that they're somehow different from you. But they have contained themselves by their actions. And they know that you have the ability to reach light speed. They know you can bypass this illusion that you are now functioning in. They know what your inheritance is, and they are about keeping you from getting it. Your havoc is their harmony. Check? All right. Listen carefully. Ignorance is a food source. Ignorance is a food source. Ignorance causes disturbances because of its random acts of chaos due to the lack of awareness of self. So by your very act, you create disturbances that would not have been there based on your ignorance. So by your acts of ignorance, the dynamics for their sustenance is made ready for them. And you are ignorant as hell. That's planned. Disturbances in the natural, ordered, and harmonic flow of light create peripheral or ambient frequencies from which these principles of consciousness, or these fallen lords, extract and receive their nourishment and sustenance. Let me say that again. Disturbances in the natural, ordered, and harmonic flow of light create peripheral or ambient frequencies from which these principles of consciousness extract or feed and receive their nourishment and sustenance. They are evil only in the sense that they cause us evil by our participation with them. Now, the idea behind evil is a concept based on the acculturation of behavior. What is good, we say this is good because for the mass and for the whole, we benefit. If you do a specific action, if you are participating in certain things and it creates something that's bad, and then we say, okay, that's evil. It's a consensus Because people who are evil, some of the nicest guys, some of the nicest people, evil as hell. But when you get to know them, they're like, hey, what's up? You know, good, yeah. Evil, evil, evil. But then, if you're looking at that, and you see them channeling that energy, and you get all caught up in, oh, he's evil. Get thee behind me, Satan, and all pontification. You don't understand how evil you're becoming by putting up all that bullshit, because you just now saying, I'm going to be the sword of justice for Jesus and all this shit. And you just become just as evil as the bastard you fighting. How you going to get down and roll in the mud with somebody and not get dirty your damn self? How the hell these preachers telling me some shit about they going to fight Satan? And you're going to fight Satan. And you got to be Satan. You got to know Satan. I want to know everybody that this white man don't want us to know. I want to know more and more about Lucifer. Not from what they're telling you. Because ignorance is a food source. Most people or most entities that you call evil are actually acting upon self-preservation and are based on survival imperatives that were cultivated some billions of eons ago. We get trapped by them through our lack of instinctive self-awareness that the mind and the spirit inherits through a continual refinement of the corporeal envelope. Let me then say that again so that you'd understand it. We get trapped by these entities who feed from our ignorance, who feed from us, through our own lack of instinctive self-awareness. Our own lack of instinctive self-awareness that the mind and the spirit is supposed to inherit through a continual refinement of the corporeal envelope. So the more you live, the more you should know. The longer you live, the more you're supposed to know. You ain't supposed to be stupid at 50. And Lord knows that's when you get real dumb. You get real scared and stupid and go running to church. You start running to look for Jesus after you get that first pain in your back. Oh, it's coming close to the end. Heart attack and motherfuckers just catch Jesus and say, Lord, yeah, he came to Jesus. Because that's the only out they're going to give you, is to come to Jesus. We become trapped by the envelope through the chromosomes, which contain the DNA and the genes. Now here's where we're going to start getting heavy. The chromosome is a DNA containing linear body of the cell nuclei, responsible for the determination and transmission of hereditary characteristics. See, that's the clinical definition. And that's what they want you to think that's all it is. Let me repeat that. The chromosome is the DNA containing linear body. Linear means straight. Of the cell nuclei responsible for the determination and transmission of hereditary characteristics. Now the chromosome then must have all of the information of the ancestors locked into it. This is why this devil, this geneticist, who is the new Gnostic, the geneticist is the new Gnostic. He now has the ability to get into the library of your experience and start picking out what he wants of the information and start playing inside of who you are. Not who you want to be or who you are, so that he will make you who he wants you to be. Now let's drop about a gene. A gene is a functional hereditary unit. It is a functional hereditary unit that occupies a fixed location on the chromosome. It occupies, carefully listen now, a fixed location on the chromosome. It has a specific influence on phenotype or a group and is capable of mutation. Now you'll understand why the gene can change and what that has to do with you and mind control. Now, listen very carefully. There is something around the sun called the chromosphere. The chromosphere. Now, the chromosphere of the sun is made up of primarily hydrogen. Check the connection now. It is several thousand miles in depth and lies separate and above the photosphere, which it surrounds. Okay? The chromatosphere surrounds the photosphere and is distinct and separate from the corona, or the crown of thorns. Listen carefully. The DNA, I'm putting all the little definitions in before we get to it. The DNA is a polymer, or something of a high molecular weight. That's what a polymer means. Something that has a high density and molecular weight with millions of repeated linked units. The DNA is a polymer of the chromosome consisting of two long chains of alternating phosphate and deoxyribose units, twisted into a double helix and joined by hydrogen bonds between the complementary bases, adenine and thymine, or cytosine and guanine. Now let me go back to what I'm saying and how it connects with the chromosphere of the sun. Go back to the top. The chromosphere of the sun is made up of primarily hydrogen. This is why I needed the blackboard. The chromosphere is made up primarily of hydrogen. All right? It is several thousand miles thick and lies separate and above the photosphere. Photo meaning the light sphere, the part that you can see, which it surrounds. Now the DNA has a alternating phosphate and deoxyribose units, linear, that is twisted into a double helix and joined together by hydrogen. Now, I said that to say that the so-called chromatosphere or chromosphere of the sun and the chromosomes of the cell, are you checking me? The chromosome of the cells are your inner sun. Remember, the cells are your internal little suns. You have whole solar systems that are cells. The chromosome and the chromosphere are together and are synergistically linked through the activity of the DNA. So the sun and you are intermittently connected through the DNA. Your chromosomes and the chromosphere, hydrogen bonds in the chromosomes, hydrogen as the majority, thousands of miles thick around the sun, there is a connection. You are being beamed information through the hydrogen, the chromosphere of the sun is connecting to the hydrogen coupling bonds in your DNA and giving it instructions to change. As a matter of fact, it's supposed to be giving you instructions to grow a third helix at this present time. But because you are in light code lockdown and because they are polluting the atmosphere so that they filter out the instructions from the chromosphere to your chromosomes, you're the one that's getting all, you might as well be back knuckle dragging at an ape. You are being regressed purposefully to keep you as a food source for light. The DNA represents a fixed projection of light as consciousness. The DNA represents a fixed projection of light as consciousness. As light travels through the ever-increasing density of matter, it begins to spiral in relationship to the elements that it gathers. Let me say that again. As light travels through the ever-increasing density of matter, it begins to spiral. It doesn't go into a straight line. It spirals. That's why when you look at the electrical line inside of here, it's twisted. Because all things, once it gets to this level, light travels, everything travels, atomics, everything travels in spirals. All energy travels in spirals. So, what constitutes your DNA is the coagulation of these elementals, these primordial archetypal elementals that are now coalescing around the design of the intelligent mind to become you, man. So the DNA is essentially just following the instructions of universal mind to condense you into man, to God as man. Now, all of this is coming to be because now you're going to see what they have to do in order to interrupt and mess with who you are. Because the old forms of mind control don't work too tough no more. Evidence. Y'all ain't sucking on a neck bone. The denser the elements themselves fix light through the densification of atoms. The elements fix light. Okay? They fix light through the densification of atoms who behave according to how many elementals and atoms join together. So the more compact, the more constricted these atoms and these elements work together, the more density of light you have. And the more awareness you can actually encompass, and the more manipulation of these atoms you can do through your mind. Because that's the secret. Manipulating the atomic structure, manipulating the DNA helix, manipulating the hydrogen connection, so that you now begin to give instructions based upon your awareness, not through what they're telling you. Higher awareness, it must grow now. You must get deep into metaphysics at this time to save your life. This is not just about you saying, well, I'll study in school and we'll take this, and I may even take a little something of metaphysics. No, bullshit. You gotta have to put everything aside and study metaphysics now, because that's how they're coming at you. They're coming at you through the metaphysical tip. The denser or more compact the atoms, the greater the concentration of light. If you manipulate the atmosphere or ionosphere, ion is the name of John. That's why the book of John has nothing to do with no people. The book of John, if you notice, the four gospels, the first three are called the synoptic gospels, which mean they're just synapse, they're just compilation, real put together. Most of them are all put together, they're pretty much the same. But the last one of John don't seem to start off like anything else. All right? John is not actually a person. It was based upon ionosphere, ion being a dynamic of radiation, a dynamic of light. So John, if you look at the word J, there was no J, it was I-O-N. John, the book of John, is telling you in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And if you understood what the Word was and how they're using the Word to manipulate your DNA, the Word through frequencies, because remember, the Word is a frequency, so they're playing with the Word so that your words come out the way they want you to say it. They come out the way they want you to think it. The manipulation of the Word through frequencies. The Word is a frequency. When I'm talking to you on a band based upon frequency transference. From here to here, to here, to there. It's about bouncing energies back and forth through sound frequencies. Well, they've learned to take the Word and to use it for evil, to bypass your ability to filter the Word into consciousness and put in this instructions to make you still think that you're an animal, to keep you on the lower fields of awareness. If you manipulate the atmosphere or the ionosphere of our planet, you interface with the hydrogen source or higher nutritional base of light in the DNA. Hallelujah. I don't know where I was when I said that. Let me repeat it. If you repeat, somebody bring me back down. I need to take a sip. Woo. You know, as I tell you, boy, you want a high? You really want a high? Get into metaphysics. Because once you start coming into self-realization, you start losing, things start moving and turning. And let me put that back to you again. If you manipulate the atmosphere or the ionosphere of our planet, you interfere with the hydrogen source or the higher nutritional base of light for the DNA. The hydrogen anchors, and I use that word, anchors, between the complementary bases that project towards the axis of the helix. Now, the word helix comes from the word helio, which means hello. These things aren't named by accident. Now, the hydrogen anchors between the complementary bases. Now, this is the DNA. Just imagine the DNA and these little ladder, Jacob's ladder, connecting it all the way through. Okay? The hydrogen anchors, and I use the word hydrogen as an anchor because it anchors the elements that have coalesced into the helix. Hydrogen anchors those elements. All right? Between the complementary bases that project towards the axis of the helix. Now, helix is from the word helio, which is Greek for the sun. From one of the strands where it is bonded, in sequence becomes distorted and different in its ability to hold the light programming. Let me repeat that for you. Don't worry. We'll try our best to really simplify it for us to get it. The hydrogen anchors between the complementary bases that project towards the axis of the helix from one of the strands where it is bonded together in a sequence become distorted and deficient in its ability to hold the light programming. When they screw with the ionosphere, and that's what the heart technology is all about. When they screw with the ionosphere, they mess up, they distort, and they cause disturbances in how the light frequency, hydrogen frequencies come to this planet. And let me tell you something. Remember a long time ago I spoke about the fact that one of the great wars that took place on this planet caused the hydrogen canopy that was around our planet to fall, and it fell. Remember I spoke about that? And it fell 40 days and 40 nights. And what do you call that? Flood. Right. Well, the ionosphere collapsed. That particular hydrogen atmosphere that we had around our world collapsed. That atmosphere used to be in synchronicity with the sun's atmosphere. So we had an Edenic kind of energy here, giving us information that was piped along the line of star frequencies. Remember, the starlight you see are nothing but lattices or relay stations for light. And the more light is relayed, the more differentiated it becomes, the more specialized it becomes. So the core of our universe, the core of our galaxy, gives off a specific consciousness intent. Follow me now. It gives off a specific consciousness intent of higher universal mind. That intent becomes synthesized as creation. That creation through suns, and I told you in the last time, a sun is the youngest form of life in the cosmos. And that sun, as it begins to peek through, it then becomes a relay station of consciousness throughout the whole galaxy. And it relays light from the core, what the Mayans called the Hunab Ku. The Hunab Ku holds the instructions for your consciousness time zone. So wherever your zip code, your consciousness zip code is, you have a specific consciousness revelation that you have to achieve. All of this is based upon a holographic dynamic. And you are in a gigantic holograph of the universal mind. It is not one-dimensional. And I know you are trying to look at this thing as it is omnidimensional. This is how I'm trying to speak to you. So your eyes, like they said in the movie, why is my eyes hurting so much? You said you've never seen before. So why is my head hurting? Why is my back of my back? What is he talking about? I am taking you out of your linear, your blinders, and having you see three-dimensionally now who you are. You are not in a universe that where you look out in the sky, that's the direction. You are in an omniverse, and this is a holographic design of the mind, of the universal mind. And you are participating in a hologram. And where you are positioned on that hologram, you are picking up specific points of light and information beamed to you based upon your position in the hologram. The hologram is being changed right now. That's why there is no mothership coming. This is the ship that will be changed to a whole other environment where you will be picking up whole other forms of light, whole other lattices, whole other directionals coming at you all at once. Do y'all want me to stop for a minute and this can it digest? No, everything's cool, right? We can still go. Okay now, because I'm pacing. You know how you get one guy out there to pace and get him exhausted and then you run him over, right? Okay. Now, when you distort the hydrogen essence of the suns and its ability to give you the helium, all the different forms of elements, because remember, all of the elements that's in your body, you don't need to be getting from food. The sun creates the elements based upon what you breathe. So it's necessary to pollute the atmosphere so that the solar radiation that creates the nutrients, what do you call it, the minerals. The sun creates minerals. So what the best way to do for you to stop getting minerals through the breath, because the breath is the breath of life. You are the breath of life. You're not the spinach of life. You're not the Mickey D's of life. You are the breath of life. So the breath is supposed to give you everything that you need. But when you distort the atmosphere, when you distort the environment, you cannot be nurtured through your primary source anymore. And then this now distills the atmosphere into the blood. This is the secret of Jesus changing the water to wine at the marriage of Cana. If you look at the word Cana, it means place of the reeds. If you look inside your lungs, it's nothing but a constitution of reeds. That's what your bronchioles are. The marriage of Cana is taking in the solar radiation as food, condensing it as the waters into the wine that is your blood. You see, oh, it gets deep. It's deep. I mean, after this, why would you even want to go to school? What are they teaching our children? What are they teaching us in these places? When you have done this, when you have distorted the light programming, this will interfere or distort the DNA's ability to determine individual hereditary characteristics or be manipulated to create freaks of nature. Now, it has been told that our planet is being terraformed by different types of species who live in these kinds of environments. Now, these kind of environments never existed when we were around. We have adapted. We die sooner than the 1,000 to 2,000 years that we lived. Why is that? Because the atmosphere has been terraformed in order to keep someone else comfortable, in order to feed someone else, in order to sustain someone else. There once was a hydrogen halo surrounding our Earth that fed the higher frequencies of universal mind directly to our DNA pattern. It was a triangular harmonic that connected the sun's hydrogen harmonic and the Earth's hydrogen harmonic to that of the body's hydrogen harmonic. Today, the fallen elders, or as they're called, I call them, the elders, the dark elders, and I don't mean the dark elders like us. I'm talking about those who live in the shadows of your awareness, inhabit a great portion of humanity's evolutionary envelope. These entities have walked into you. They have taken you all over. There's some of them, you walk down the street, you can see them right away. They don't even look like they're from here. They're walking around with a blank stare. They really look like they are not from this planet. You can pick them up. You know what the clones look like. We told you what they will look like and what they're about. They have this glare. They have this blank stare. They deteriorate very quickly. But you remember that these entities inhabit a great portion of humanity's evolutionary envelope. Better yet, they occupy by intrusion based upon your ignorance of yourself. That's why people who have thoughts that are not their own, sometimes you wake up and you say, damn, why did I think of that? Sometimes you wake up and you start saying, oh, wow, what would we look like if my baby was strangled? Oh, and you say, oh. I know, have you ever had one of them thoughts that came to you and wondered what you should, what did I get that thought of murdering and killing and somebody dead and mangled, somebody close and loving me? That's them trying to get in. That ain't you. And it's good that you could recognize it and not get caught up in it, because there are some weak enough to get caught up in it. And they follow it, and then they become part of it. That's why these entities took over Hollywood, because they don't have a way to physicalize themselves. So they live as a component of your dreams. You get pictures of alien. And in that, they live because you give life through your thoughts. All of the elements that go into creating a chemical memory, gives you pictures, gives you sounds, gives you words, gives you experiences, and they live inside of that which you have provided them by the chemistry that is you. So they actually create, wait, you try to find out, where do they get these kind of monsters? Who is the one who's designing these? They are working through those entities that they know are part of Hollywood. And they're there to make sure that they have places to live, because when you go look at the movie and you see this and you getting terrified, they live best with children, because children have a greater impact. They have a greater impact on the memory chemistry of children. That's why you got to be very careful about what you show your children at a very early age. Because they're like cameras that just snap and keep pictures. You know what it was like when you were scared and you saw a monster and you kept that bad boy with you for how long? They live in that. Now I say, oh, get out of here, Reverend Brown. Yeah. Well, yeah, tell me, when you're running from something, you don't know what it is. Like a crop of vegetables, and you can see Matrix with this one, humanity today is cultured like a clam to produce a pearl of energy that is of great value to the fallen elders. Every time you are educated, they have put a sand or stuck a grain of sand somewhere inside of your consciousness. And then it irritates you. And then all of a sudden you make a life for yourself based upon the pearl that your body creates to defend yourself from that sand called education. And you've created a pearl based on your irritation, the fact you got to pay your taxes, your damn rent is due, you get in a fight with your husband, he leaves you, now welfare gets paid, and it's all one dynamic. And they keep putting that sand in. Keep putting that sand in. Every time you wake up, the sand begins with that inject vaccination. From the vaccination, they give you the bottle. And from the bottle, they put you into these nurseries. From the nursery, they put you in there, terraforming you. Like a crop of vegetables, humanity today is cultured like the clam or like the oyster to produce a pearl of energy that is of great value to the fallen elders. Light is the pearl. Today, a vast segment of humanity is waking up out of the sleep. Here's where the problem lies. A vast amount of us are waking up. We don't want to go along with the bullshit anymore. We don't want to listen to all the crap that they're talking about. It don't even seem real anymore. We laugh at it. We talk at the television. I know I do. I hope you all do. I hope you all get up, and when you're looking at the news and you hear some bullshit that you start saying back, get the fuck out of here. And you look for something and you throw it at the screen. That's healthy. You start yelling and screaming and getting mad. They can't get in there. That's healthy. It's unhealthy when you're sitting there. Look at that. That's the sign of insanity. If you could look at the news and just be quiet and just imbibe that kind of crap. If you could look at television, if you could look at the television, I mean the movies, when I go to movies, I start talking all kind of shit. What the, you look at that shit. You see that? And everybody's right there, what's he talking about? Just shut up, I want to see him shoot him up, The fact that you all are awakening is perilous to the fallen elders, in that you are now weeds growing in their gardens. And a weed grows, boy. Weed is strong as a motherfucker. You cannot, it don't be cultivated. Weed, you can't, shit. You try to cultivate all these things that you do in the vegetable. It looks so nice, it looks so pretty. Weed say, damn that, I'm growing right here. And you gotta, oh man, and you gotta kill it, the shit grows back. Quick. Well, you are the weed in their little garden of ignorance. Now, catch up with me. A cosmo-psycho-biospiritual order. Let me say that again. A cosmo-psycho-biospiritual order that was established eons ago is dismantling because the old restraints of brutality and fear no longer work on you, as in the case of early Christianity. A newer, more insidious method of control must now be instituted. An internal control dynamic, an internal brutality and fear dynamic that can be controlled by the push of a button. Now, the button can be a word. The button can be the change in a temperature around you. The button can be something that you see flash before you. The button can also be pushed on a console. Those who do the work for the fallen lords constitute the conscious and the willing, A, and the unconscious and obedient, B. Let me say that again. Those who work for the fallen lords constitute two kinds: the conscious and the willing, A, and the unconscious and the obedient, B. Those we focus on today inhabit and operate through the priesthood. Listen up. Those we focus on here today inhabit and operate through the priesthood of the temple of medical science, the new Gnostics. The geneticist is the new Gnostic. The Elohim of the Bible were geneticists. Genesis, Genesis, Genesis 1, that's chapter 1, verse 26 says, "Let us make man in our image after our likeness." We don't know what the fuck they look like. Do they? Do you know what the Elohim look like? No. You don't. Now, here's something deep. Why is the gene so important to the Elohim of today, the new Gnostics? Well, let's look at the word lamp. Lamp of God that taketh away the sins of the world. Let's look at the word lamp, all right? Could you please read the word lamp there and what that means? All of the definitions out loud.
Okay. A device that generates light, heat, or burnt through a wick for illumination. A star, planet, meteor, or other celestial body. Something that illumines the mind or soul. Leave lamp.
That's it. That's it. Wait a minute. Hold on. Lamp? Star? Lamp? How you get star? How you get lamp illumination? He ain't talked about something that where you put a match to it, got a little flame. The wick is your what? A part of your brain. The pineal. The lamp of God that taketh away the sins of the world. When it gets lit up, all illusion disappears. When your pineal is at full-fledged flight, when the lamp of God is lit up through the Kundalini rising, all illusion disappears. You look into the glass darkly. There is no more fucking with your mind. You have the capabilities to raise that lamp, to light it. Now they say here that the lamp is a celestial body, a meteor, a star, a planet. Well, the word lamp means a device that generates. Did he not say generates? Therapeutic radiation. Where did that come from? A lamp. In the West Indies, my grandmother went over, lifted the bad boy. That's a lamp. You go over in the corner, you flick a switch. That's a lamp. No, it's not. We're looking at the words that you're dealing with. Remember, in the beginning was the word. So the beginning of your illusion is based upon the construct of language and how language is used or misused, or how you are ignorant to how a language is used, or how in your awakening you can use language to unlock the doors that keep you in light code lockdown. A star, planet, or meteor. Something that illuminates the mind or the soul. This is a lamp. A lamp. Well, let's look at the lamp a little further and check out the story about a lamp. What was the most famous story about a lamp? Aladdin. All right, so something told me, who's Aladdin? How you spell Aladdin?
A-L-A-D-I-N.
A-L-L-A, freeze it. Oh, hold on. Hold on, yeah, okay. Allah, Din. Okay, the word Din, if you break down the word Din, not jinn, jinn we know what the jinn is, but the word Din means dissonant sound. Okay? We know Allah. All right? But din is a dissonant sound. Now, if Allah is God, this person in the body of Aladdin obviously has to be an aspect of God who speaks dissonant notes, who speaks or misinterprets the word. So what does he do in order to find himself, to get his wish? He rubs. Oh, okay. Come on back up here, brother. Need you one more again. So I said, well, let's look at the word rub. Okay. What we got there?
Okay, yeah, I see it.
See the word rub. Start from there, but just keep on reading. Rub now. Wait a minute, hold up. What do we do? What's rub mean? Friction, rub a little with it. Yeah, this is rub, right? That's what you think rub means. Go ahead.
To subject to the action of something that moves back and forth with friction and pressure. To cause to move along a surface with friction and pressure. To irritate, annoy. His laziness was being to rub me. To move along a surface with friction and pressure. To shape with friction. To cause irritation or annoyance.
Keep going.
Informal. To continue in a given situation, usually with some difficulty.
Hold that. Say that again.
To continue in a given situation, usually with some difficulty.
Go ahead.
To admit rubbing, a blackboard that rubs clean easily. To be transferred by contact or proximity.
Hold on. To be transferred by contact or proximity. Go ahead.
Wish some of her luck with rub off on me.
Okay.
To harp on an unpleasant matter.
Go ahead.
To obliterate by or as if by rubbing. Slang, to kill, murder, rub up. To refresh one's knowledge of.
Wait! Repeat that.
To refresh one's knowledge of.
Second
to
one.
improve or increase the keenness application of friction and pressure. You meant to harp on?
Go ahead.
To obliterate.
Okay, go, keep going.
To obliterate by or as if by rubbing.
All
To
right.
kill,
Right,
murder,
right.
to refresh one's knowledge of.
Okay, hold on. To refresh one's knowledge of. All right? The next one after that line was?
To improve or increase the keenness of a mental faculty.
Hold that right there. Thank you very much, brother. To improve the keenness of mental faculty? Let's go back. Remember we said Aladdin, Allah, dissonant note coming from the word of God. He now has the lamp of God. He rubs it. What does he do then? He increases what? His keenness? Mental faculties? But remember now, this is a lamp he's rubbing. And we know what lamp is now. The lamp is the sun. The lamp is the star. What is he rubbing? Okay. Now he says the word rub is to continue as a given situation, sometimes with great difficulty, to refresh one's knowledge, to improve or increase the keenness of mental faculty. What comes out after that? Spell? What? A genie? Whoa, wait a minute now. Okay, so now the genie comes out of the lamp, which is the star, and grants him 3 wishes. Now, I know you're saying, well, where the fuck is he going with all of this? You think about how language has within it coded information. Now, who knew what rub meant except to rub, you know, your backside or your face or your hair, or rub a little baby's bottom with some cornstarch or something? Who the hell thought it meant, you know, getting into your consciousness acuity? And what? Rub? To exercise the keenness of mental faculty? I want to rub my brain. I want to rub myself with some words. The genie comes out, which is the gene, which is the code for the body. So Allah, din, or the dissonant code, rubs the lamp, which is the light, which is the sun, which is the internal dynamic of light, and then comes out with what? The genie. And the genie gives you 3 wishes. It is said in, what do you call it, in Sanskrit, that you live, you come back 7 times, 3 cycles of 7 times to grant your wish in the flesh. Because all of what you do is based upon what you do in the flesh. Spirit don't do shit. The spirit is just here to accumulate information. The spirit is part of the component that was developed. It was the light that Lucifer took into the darkness. It was the Prometheus fire that was unaware, though self-aware. You see? And all of it is hidden. The geneticists are now in possession of the lamp, or at least have knowledge of how the lamp works, to release the genie, to get the genie to do its wishes. The lamp or star within us is in the cell nucleus, which contains the chromosomes or light bearers, the light fixtures, the Lucifer matrix within you. Lucifer is the lamp. Lucifer is the wick, and it is the flame. The morning star. The light bringer. The thing that illuminates the mind and the soul. The gene, listen carefully now, the gene occupies the fixed location on the chromosome and has a specific influence. The geneticist occupies a fixed position. Hear me now. The geneticist occupies a fixed position in the hierarchy of the fallen lords and is now in charge of creating and producing specific influences in today's humanity. Let me go back and get that to you one more time. The gene, as it was said before, occupies a fixed location on the chromosome and has a specific influence. The geneticist, or the new Gnostic, occupies a fixed position in the hierarchy of the fallen elders and is now in charge of creating and producing specific influences in today's humanity. Based on the condition of our planet, it would appear that nothing or no one can be saved. And this is what they are telling you, that without them, you cannot be saved. Without the operation, without gene therapy, without the drugs, without all of this that they're doing, they're terraforming your bloodstream. They're damming it up just like they would dam any flowing river so that they could change the dynamic flow of the river and get your hydroelectricity from it. Well, what they're doing is they're damming your bloodstream with all kind of shit. And from that particular dam, they're extracting all kinds of perverted forms of electrical impulses that come out as your behavior. The old order of disease and health, food and nutrition, mind and matter, God and man are either dead or dying. The present human experiment as a species is a dismal failure, according to them. This is what they're telling you. Ye cannot be saved unless ye be born again. And ye are only born again in Jesus Christ. You cannot be protected from all of these germs out here unless you're vaccinated. I'm giving you all of the spiel. You cannot get anywhere in life without an education. Do you hear how they are playing with you and in your head? In reality, man is breaking free. The containment unit or cell or gene is in the process of spiritual mutation, hallelujah, which in turn signals biomolecular freedom from the illusion of the present corporeal agreement. To the fallen elders, this constitutes death in this plane. They cannot allow it. It means that in their garden, the crop of vegetables is turning into an uncontrollable weed. The fallen lords through the Illuminati geneticists say we need a new man. We need a whole new breed of man. Give me a zoom on this. New movie come out. Thank you for giving this to me, Sister Puma. Let me just get this on there first, and then I'm going to show it to everybody else. New movie has come out. They got a black man playing Adam and a white woman playing Eve. We need to create a new man. Now, they know that the new man can't come from them. It won't come from them. It can't come from them. And this has nothing to do with racism because I'm getting this information from them. They cannot procreate beyond 2012 at the level, at the velocity, and at the tenacity that the black male and the black female can. Well, they've already started recruiting the black female. Oprah Winfrey is telling you that. Whoopi Goldberg should tell you that. Claire Huxtable should tell you that. And all these other Aunt Jemima Negroes. The name of the movie is The Loss of Sexual Innocence. Wait now, sexual innocence is usually denoted to the female. The innocence now, or remember now, the loss of sexual innocence is that the white woman, obviously, has been living in this paradigm where she has been put on this pedestal where, she is the, quintessential angel of womanhood. This is what she has been given. And she is innocent of any kind of thinking of, having some big black butt just jumping all over her. So how do you lose the innocence? You put it up on screen, watching the backside of this big black buck just thrusting away. We're gonna lose this innocence. My eyes! What a crock. And this is what they're spoon feeding to us because now they have to terraform your awareness. They have to make you believe it's all right. We need a new man and a new womb man. The building blocks of life the genes, shall be rearranged in such a way to create a new man for a new age who will function in the right way. The geneticist says, finally, with gene engineering, all possibilities are open for us. We have ways to escape our own physiological lockdown in this paradigm. All we have to do is genetically alter the fact that we don't have the ability to make the melanin. We don't have the ability to protect ourselves from the higher frequencies of light that are going to inevitably be coming to this planet. And it isn't just higher heat, it's higher information. That's why they're going to start getting melanoma. Because the melanoma is burning up the bullshit. It's cleaning house. It's cleaning genetic house. So now they have to change the infrastructure. They have to start milking and blending and putting together certain blood types that come from between. See, my blood type, they're going to want to find out what's wrong with me and how I get, okay, I got part white, part black, part Spanish, part African, part everything. They're going to want to know what my blood is doing. How come he ain't got pustules coming out of his skin? Well, you can bet they already are terraforming the human body, and they are using the body itself and how it defends itself or how it acclimates to higher frequencies of consciousness. They're already doing that. They're already growing them in pig wounds and in sheep wounds. Now, what is the work of the geneticist? He has transferred human growth hormones to pigs to make them grow faster. He has terraformed the pig because, and this came out of his literature, the skin of the pig is more closely related to the Caucasian skin. That is why he uses that particular animal to test all of his sunblock. The sunblock is tested on the skin of the pig before he puts it out on the market for sale. He now found, and this is deep because they told it right here, you got to look at all them off channels. Don't look at this bullshit 2, 4, 5. Look at the off channels because they slip it in there. This is a medical channel. On a medical channel they said, well, we found that the pig has always been more closely related to man. Which man? Who in fuck are you talking about? You know you're not talking about me. That's bullshit. The pig skin? It's him. Now they have terraformed the pig's whole anatomy, changed the bloodstream, dammed it up with all of their little chemicals, put the human gene into the pig gene, grafted it, did it in such a way that now the pig has created internal organs that can be transferred to human bodies. You can now go down to transplant agencies and put in an order for a pig to grow your blood type, to grow your organs just in case you have a heart attack. Never mind teaching you how not to get a heart attack. We will build a whole industry waiting for you to get your inevitable heart attack. They have all kinds of pigs. They got cows. They got sheep that are growing human shit. They got one with a human head. They say, oh, get the fuck out of here, Reverend Valentine. Bullshit. They got something, a sheep with a human head. Damn right. They're growing human bodies inside of sheep ovaries. Ooh, Yaku is going, he's out of control. Yaku is out of control. And these are Christians. 9 times out of 10, most of these damn geneticists are Christians. Yeah, they're Christians. Arose by any other name. Now, check this. The process of cross-genetic interspecies breeding, when introduced into humans, not from human to the other species, but from the other species into the human, will create a disease called acromegaly. Now, acromegaly is the disease that Akhenaten had. Now, acromegaly changed him into a hermaphrodite. Now you say, well, damn. One of our greatest kings who believed in one God, they had to kill that motherfucker. You kidding? You come in there with one God perception? All the rest of the gods said, you out your mind. There's no such thing as one God. There is no such thing as a God. God is a creation of man. And until we understand that, you are God. That the only realization that you have that there is a God is because you have to be God to realize that. The only reason you have the realization to realize that there is a God is because you are God. You could not be unless God gave you the realization to be, and that you realize that you are. You are God. I'm speaking to God. God's speaking to itself. God has conversations with itself. And this is what it's all about. You ain't waiting for somebody to come down and talk about Jesus spoke to me to do anything. Anytime you think God is speaking to itself, you're waiting for some outside source. And that's the deep part of Christianity, you know, Christian state. Check this out. You can go talking to God all the hell you want. They tell you speak to God, talk to God. But as soon as somebody tells you that God spoke to them, they think you crazy. They want to lock your ass up in a Christian institution because God spoke to your ass. But what the hell? You've been talking so long, why wouldn't you be getting an answer? Why should it be so strange if there is a God and somebody's saying I'm getting answers, somebody's talking to me, God is telling me to do it, why shouldn't I believe you? If God is out there to be spoken to, you doing all this damn praying. The work of the geneticist, the new Gnostic, the process of cross-pollination causes all forms of deformity. And how does this happen? How does deformity become created? Okay, I'll tell you, putting insects into insect genes into humans, putting all kind of animal things and cross-pollinating, doing all kind of crazy things out of your mind, disturbing the order, only because you know that the present order cannot keep those who are us getting ready to leave, getting ready to get on the good freedom ship to get the fuck out of here. They know they got to stop that journey. The exodus is now. It's getting ready to happen. The so-called Moses that is the light that is you, your realization, self-realization that you call your Moses energy, leading you out of the land of bondage, the bondage of this three-dimensional consciousness time zone. You about to lead your damn self out, and they got to stop that journey. How do you stop this particular journey? Because all journeys of consciousness begin where? Within. So you can't be putting all kind of tubes and stuff on the outside, because inside's going to always bypass that bullshit. As a matter of fact, the physical body was meant to solve problems, meant to overcome adversities. So you could put all kind of chips, you could put a plug right up his asshole, and he's going to find a way to bypass that. So you got to get him at the essential level, where spirit, where light synthesizes and condenses and liquefies into the bloodstream. The direct connect, you got to get him there. The gene can be taught to synergize with the pig. Now let me tell you, a gene can be taught to synergize with the pig. And when eaten by man over a period of time, along with vaccinations, of course you got to get 54 of them, remember. Now why would you need to get 54 goddamn vaccinations? Unless it's to terraform you and to make you more susceptible to the species change that they got planned for you. The pig gene will teach the human body, after it's been introduced enough times, to interface with it. You see some motherfucker walking around with a big snout and a cloven hoof. An extreme danger to the genetic integrity of the human is when genes are deliberately implanted into the genome of a tomato, for instance, which don't become inactive in the tomato. Check it. The genes that are implanted into the tomato don't become inactive by the fact that the tomato becomes a tomato. In other words, it doesn't become part of the tomato construct. It's active. But are aimed in your tomato, these new genes that they're putting in is aimed at the human brain. It is possible now to introduce what are known as buddy genes or soul mates, and that's S-O-L-E. That's for the sole purpose of mates, or what is called accompanying genes that become active only when you take it into a human construct. In other words, it's inactive while it's in the tomato, but when it comes into interfacing with your chemistry, it comes to life. It is possible now to introduce these buddy genes. The only problem for the geneticist would be to keep this buddy gene inactive in the food until it is taken in by the organism. This brain gene has no purpose or function in the tomato whatsoever. It is inserted specifically so that whoever eats this tomato absorbs and then activates this brain gene. The gene is then received by receptors in the brain that correspond to the artificial brain gene and is then synthesized with the DNA of the person. Now they say, well, that's impossible. How the hell does that happen? It does not happen just by a whim. Your body has to be slowly degenerated in order to accommodate this kind of change. A body that's in pristine health will not accommodate it because it will recognize the intrusion and then all forms. But complete. It's like, what? What you doing here? Out? That's it. They ain't coming up in here. We got everybody's sane here. Everybody know who they are here. We know we don't know you. But if you have a retarded bloodstream based upon all the filth that the cow pus and the monkey pus and all the crap that you eat, the sugar, the salts, not the real sugars, not the real salts, I'm talking all the crap you breathe, everything that begins to degenerate the river of life and slowly dim the river of light. Now, under stealth, special forces, which essentially are what? Special forces are essentially the geneticists and their particular agents and their particular kind of, ordinances. Will go in under cover of ignorance and under cover of a polluted blood. Yes, own you. Brother put it succinctly. Own you. The gene is then received by receptors in the brain that corresponds to the artificial brain gene and is then synthesized with the DNA of that person. The destination of such brain genes is first and foremost the original parts of the brain. That means your so-called reptilian part, the part that is first grown in the womb, the part that helps to be the stem from which the flower, the lotus, blooms. Understand what I just said? The stem from which the lotus blooms. The lotus don't bloom if the stem is cut or if the stem has some form of impediment in it. And you could put certain types of artificial receptors there that take the natural flow of light and energy and completely changes them around so the lotus blooms out as a cactus or some shit. Now, the destination of these so-called, and I'm using this word brain genes, is first of all the original parts of the brain. And that original part of the brain is the limbic system. And the limbic system is a group of brain-structured nodules that include the hippocampus, the amygdala, the dentate gyrus, the cingulate gyrus, the gyrus fornicatus. Yeah. The gyrus fornicatus. The arch cortex. And their interconnections and connections with the hippocampus, the septal area, and the medical area of the mesosouth, okay, hold on for me. These motherfuckers put all this long shit here. Mesencephalic, and phallic being you know what, right? Mesencephalic tegmentum. Must be something look like a dick sticking up in your brain somewhere. This system is activated by motivated behavior and arousal, and it influences the endocrine system, and the autonomic motor systems. And the endocrine system is what helps you make sure that you are either male or female. It tells you how to distribute all the nutrients. It tells you where to put everything, how your body is supposed to function. The endocrine system is like the baddest part of the system. It makes all of the hormones and makes sure the hormones are healthy. Fuck with that, and you know, guys are walking around and women are walking around. And you don't know what's what. Yes, brother, you had, no? Okay. So the genes implanted in the tomato don't cause the tomato to grow or even live longer, only to manipulate man. It is the ultimate medium for control of humanity through the manipulation of food. Remember, I mentioned earlier that food and eating of food is a form of communication. Eating is a form of communication. Eating is a form of information transfer. Because everything that you eat is based upon your synergistic communication with nature, and nature communicating her love and her beneficence to you. So when you eat, you can't be talking all kind of bullshit. You can't be arguing with somebody. You can't be yelling and screaming. You could be in a nice temper there, you could be doing, but you could be eating. I have a problem eating, sometimes looking at TV, but then when I'm eating, I'm getting pissed off. You know? So, unless you are completely girded against the bullshit, you know, don't eat and absorb shit when you eat. You're supposed to be eating around something real calm. You're supposed to be listening to breezes blow, you know? You're supposed to be hearing the breath in your head. You're supposed to be hearing the chewing. You're supposed to be feeling and synergizing with the food. Oh, thank you, broccoli, you know. You know, thank you. And oh, this is so good. Oh, yeah. And eating with the fingers like children. You know, just getting messy with it, you know. Just loving your food one to one. The only society that eats with inorganic, we're supposed to steal between you and your food. At least the Chinese and them put this, the wood, and wooden bowls, wooden spoons, at least have some kind of frequency vibration with the food. The wood is alive, that's cool. But the hand pre-digests the food. The hand, the energy in the hand and the fingers communicates to the body. The aura is already picking up what you got in your hand. Before it even hits your mouth, you got the right digestive juices in the mouth. Why do you think babies look so happy when they have food all over them? The whole body is enjoying this. It's sucking it up in the pores and everything. Eating is information transfer, because the nutrient base that's within that life form that you are sacrificing, that you are giving up, that is giving up its life for you, that information is being transferred. The information of the light of the sun, photosynthesis, what the earth has been telling. Information from a plant that picks up information. Plants talk to one another from around the world. They don't just speak to one another. You read The Secret Life of Plants. Secret Life of Plants. They speak. They had this dude, he was standing there, and he hooked up an oscillator or some kind of equipment to a cantaloupe, and he was about to smash this other cantaloupe, and the cantaloupe energy started going off the scale. As if it was alive, like it knew what you're going to do to the other cantaloupe. So everything that is a byproduct of life is alive. So when you are eating live food, you're supposed to be in thanks, you're supposed to be in great humor, in surrender and in love and in, I mean, that's the way. You cannot be poisoned with that kind of attitude. You cannot, I don't give a damn if you're putting down hemlock. You have this love. It knows you. Food knows you by the way you are with it. It knows you from the beginning. Now, let me describe what a gene is. A gene, to me, metaphysically, is a resonance or frequency receptor. Listen to me carefully now. I hope I'm not losing you. Are you all right? Yeah. You sure you're all right? You can just, like do this, I won't be embarrassed, yawn and stretch it out, and, do a dance step, wiggle a little bit, get the blood flowing. Because remember now, while you're sitting here in front of me, all the blood that you would normally be using to digest food is coming up to the brain to digest my words. You see, all the blood is up here now. That's why some of y'all are saying, well, damn, it's too much blood. I can't take it. Because you get an overload. Yes, brother.
Is that the Human Genome Project? Is that the reason why it's hooked up with the Department of Energy?
Oh, yeah, not only the Department of Energy is hooked up with the Pentagon. Okay? You said the Human Genome Project. There's a Human Genome Project that is funded by the government. Matter of fact, it's made up of scientists from around the world. And it's funded through the Department of Energy, which is funded directly through the Pentagon, which is funded actually directly through the Jason organization, which is the super scientists. All this bullshit you see with, taking water and turning it to steam, that ain't nothing. There are levels of science that they practice. This is practiced at the highest level.
So that's what the movie was about.
What?
They mixed fusion with the human genome, used people as a battery.
Oh, yeah, to turn them into the battery. Yeah. Well, that's what the whole movie is about. You got it right there. Yeah, IBM, AT&T, GE, all blue chippers. Yeah, all of them. Yeah, okay. Oh, phew, big boss spoke. Now, the gene is a resonance or frequency receptor. The gene is a translator of light and sound frequencies into information. Hello. Let me say that one more time. The gene is a translator of light and sound frequencies into information or atom. Informing atom, the informing of the sun informing. When you get information, you are forming